From the countryside in France to the beaches of California, our drivers have traipsed halfway around the world and are getting ready to do battle on one of iRacing's newest tracks. But many of our competitors have already gone toe-to-toe here. The Week 13 special event held by the community gave us a preview of what we're about to witness. Will anyone use that knowledge to give themselves an edge? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 2 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. With a history dating back over 4 decades, there's much to say about Long Beach, but perhaps it's best to let our track guy do the talking. Welcome to Long Beach. Nestled into the south side of Los Angeles and running alongside the Pacific Ocean, this street circuit has made the port area world famous. Both Formula One and IndyCar have called this 2-mile, 11-turn circuit home. Winning here has become a prestige worth boasting about among open-wheel pilots. Indeed, the winners list includes the likes of Lauda, Andretti, Unser, Montoya, Power, and many other legendary names in racing. Much like its European sister over in Monaco, it's short, tight, and punishing. But unlike Monte Carlo, this circuit emerged from a rundown piece of California coast to grow into the glamorous location it is today. Down into Turn 1 at the end of Shoreline Drive is where the majority of overtakes tend to be made. But sneaky passes can also pop up in places like 6 on the way into Pine Avenue, or Turn 9 at the end of Seaside Way. There's also 2 distinctive landmarks notorious for causing track blockages. The fountain section, with all its beauty, is a single-file affair save for the first lap. And the hairpin has been a staple here, even though it's changed locations a few times. In fact, that last hairpin not only includes the dangers of getting tangled with another car, but the important nature of getting the best exit you can to keep your rival from having a chance to pass you into the first corner. It feels appropriate that California's signature street track is a hop, skip, and a jump away from the beach. But while others might be trying to attack the surf, our drivers today will be attacking the corners instead. Really is a beautiful track that iRacing has put together, but there's no time to look around at the scenery, Adam, because there is lots to do around a lap here.
Absolutely. Long Beach has long been the scene of some epic American and international racing battles, and will continue that tradition in 2021 by being the location of the IndyCar finale in the real world. Here on iRacing, though, this circuit is a mix of old and new. Originally released as a tech or unfinished track, most series did not race it at the time. But along with a host of other awesome updates, iRacing finally finished this infamous circuit, and now every road series worth its salt is giving it a try. The Kamel Series takes its first drive here in their official series after visiting it in their unofficial Endurance Championship, and the Audi GTO and Nissan GTP proved to be a real challenge to keep pristine around this undulating circuit. The Audi's extremely sensitive 4-wheel drive system is prone to the loss of top speed due to corner damage, and the Nissan can meet a similar fate with front clip and undertray damage from the curbs. While the Audis handle most of this course with its characteristic understeer, the Nissans will struggle all day with early onset turbo lag and spinning tires due to the bumpy track surface. Multi-class wise, the risks are extremely high. If the GTP doesn't make the move before turn 1, they'll have to wait till the short sprint between 5 and 6. But after that, it's pretty clear on the straight until they get to the 9, 10, 11 complex and that hairpin. All in all, though, I think this circuit will be an early defining moment for our championship, Joe.
Yeah, considering it's only round 2, it could have implications well down the line for sure. Speaking of those implications on the championship, let's take a look at where it sits after the first round, starting with the prototype. Cy Andra said he wants to give Fabian a run for his money. It was a bit of an off season last season. Just didn't have the luck, didn't have the consistency to ever be a factor. And then Jamie Hall still looking for some redemption. Managed to get a 3rd place, so at least puts one on the board decently, but he's going to have to try and beat Fabian as well as Cy this season. Sean Campbell and Matthias Hovdahl, of course, as we would expect with a draft track last week, round out your top 5. We have the GTO Championship as well, and that's going to be a fascinating one at the top.
Yeah, so this one has some new names in there because both Phil Lake and a couple of his other competitors have jumped over to the GTP. But Hugo Leskala, no surprise there, is currently leading over Yoni Kaijin. Kaijin just did not quite have the pace at Le Mans last week. Reed Miller, Mr. Consistency, with a couple of his competitors gone, has moved up into that third position in the championship. So he's looking on for a podium. But he's got Roman Pawlowski, who continues to increase in pace over the course of these seasons, currently breathing down his neck. Nils Kor himself has jumped up to 5th position in the championship, so it's very tight up there for that championship. And I think the pace, especially among the third on back, is fairly similar, so it's going to be an interesting thing to see, especially when they get to this particular technical track.
Yeah, it'll be punishing for sure. And why don't we actually go over today's race details while we're at it? We are in round 2, as we mentioned. It's a 40-minute race, so this is very much a sprint around here. The cars are open setup. I've actually hopped into one of the setups out there. Fabian Gerber has kindly put his out for others to use, as this series tends to do. The community is very open about that sort of stuff, but they have no fast repair, and as we mentioned, the walls are close all the way around this canyon street course, so really have no recourse if you put too much damage on it other than to come into the pits and get it repaired. In the meantime, if somehow you rack up too many incidents, you'll get a drive-through at 17, and 25 will give you a disqualification. Now, right now on track, we have the qualifying going on, but some very fascinating names have shown up. Iancan Guven, who was a pro-level driver, is a pro-level driver, I should say, still has that black stripe on there, came in second in the Porsche, the Mobil 1 Porsche Super Cup in 2019. He's currently leading Fabian Gerber by about a 10th, so that's going to give Fabian Gerber something to think about. Will he wind up second place again? Sai Andra about half a second off of Guven on that pole. Leskala provisionally leads our GTO qualifying as we now head to Guven and his second lap a little quicker.
Yeah, with that being said, a 1:10.184 is a blistering lap around here. That is taking every opportunity, maximizing everything. But look at this, Fabian Gerber, 1:10 flat is going to dethrone the Super Cup driver for that pole position. Both of them have finished their times. So unless we see someone with a faster time, Fabian's got it.
Oh, and I don't think we've seen this person around much, if at all. Norbert Leitner, second in the GTOs. Granted, it appears he's also a half a second off of our pole sitter. Oh, and Leskala just went up to the top, and Letniemi is in his second. So Sai Andra on his second lap. Man, still well off the pace. He only qualifies in 5th, as Timu Toika just jumped up to 3rd.
Very interesting, because we know that Sai's got a lot of race pace, but qualifying has always been somewhere that he's struggled. We know he's working on that this season. Here comes Phil Lake, currently only 8th position, but in a new vehicle compared to last season, so not necessarily that surprising. Here's Alex Gall trying to cross the line and improve his time. Not going to do so. Ardo Iamaki also trying to complete and improve his time. Only 3 minutes left in qualifying for those drivers who haven't put in 2 laps.
Waiting on Jamie Hall to put one down, and Yoni Kaijin, and those two could definitely disrupt the top of each of their respective classes. Spitzmuller, who you see on screen, has only got 1 lap down at a 1:17.9. That puts him into 14th in class. So let's see if the number 31 can do any better than that. This is the top split that they have here today. They're 2 splits racing. So this is the best of the best that we are watching here in Kamel GT. Second lap is 17.6, 3/10 quicker. That's not going to improve the position of Richard. Let's head to Jamie Hall, the number 10, because he's now coming to the line as well. Let's see what he's got on his first timed lap. A 1:10.9. That'll put him up there, but only into 10th. I think he can do a little bit quicker than that, if I'm honest.
To be honest, though, Joe, all of the top drivers being in the 110s, I mean, we have our top 11 drivers within a second here on this track. That is extremely impressive, and I know that it's top split, but the The strength of field of this race has continued to go up in the Kamel GT series, especially among the top split drivers, and we are getting some extremely competitive times here. Jamie Hall taking one of the more challenging sections as the road rises and falls as they cross over Bay Street and take the right down across Pine Avenue onto this long back straightaway. Jamie doing an excellent job of managing that vehicle, but like you said, I think he's going to have a little bit of a faster time this time around because the tires should be up to temperature now.
Kajanen suffered from a similar thing. He's only down in 12th on his first lap. It is slightly cool on the track surface, but I'm shocked at how much the drivers are having to get them warmed up to get a competitive time here. So Hall comes down and across. Is it going to be faster? It's a 10.7. That's still only 2/10. That only puts him in 8th. That is just not what we're used to seeing from that number 10. So off to Joni Kajanen in the number 2, who, as I said, is sitting in 12th with a 16.8. Our pole position on the GTOs is currently a 15.3. Comes out of the hairpin. Let's see what this one holds. And the Finn manages to crush it down to a 16.8. That'll at least put him into 7th, but still not what I would have thought he could do.
No, and he's going to be disappointed with that, especially considering he's second place in the championship right now and wants to challenge for that first. So unfortunate for him that he's going to be down in 7th behind quite a few names that we're not used to seeing up that high either. So not a track that Yoni's very happy with, I believe.
Certainly looks like it. So let's go through our starting grid here today. Still pretty decently sized field, even though we've had a split. Fabian Gerber did get the pole away from Guven, who will start next to him, and Timu Toika will be starting in 3rd with Nick Schneider. This is a fantastic qualifying time for him, up to 4th. It's Cy Andra starting P5 and Tobias Gerber down in 6th. 4th row has Sean Campbell to the inside and Jamie Hall unusually low in 8th. Ardo Iamaki, another one that tends to qualify a little bit better than this, but he'll start 9th. Michael Houghton in P10. Phil Lake, man, Dirty Torque team just doesn't seem to like this track. They'll start from 11th there with Phil Lake, and you've got Fabian Newbluth in 12th and Nick Mukanos in 13th. Matthias Hovdahl, P14, and Stephen Warkup rounds out your GTPs in 15th.
Nico Lesko is going to take pole in the Audis with Esko Letaniemi coming in 2nd place, one of his best qualifying times ever in the series. Norbert Leitner, a driver we haven't seen that much of, coming in 3rd right now on the pole. On the grid, rather, Miguel Castro in 4th next to him. Yuri Kiesen going to start off in 5th position with Reed Miller in 6th. Joni Kajanen starts off in 7th position today, right in front of Alex Gall in 8th. Roman Pawlowski, not a great qualifying for him, in 9th position. Neither for Nils Kor starting off 10th. Ben Lafter's going to start off 11th after his swap over to the GTO last season. Miguel Alcalde starts off in 12th with Dominic Bureau 13th, in Haycox 14th. Richard Schmitzmaller starting off in 15th. Batsborg Anderson starting off 16th, and Ryan Walker did not set a time. He rounds out your 32-car field.
Waiting for the Porsche pace car to lead them off. They'll start on Seaside Way, heading into the popular passing spot there at the end of turn 9. And then, of course, they've got to navigate that horrible hairpin at the very end to get away. So hopefully everybody can get off cleanly through there. And then let's not forget about the fountain section, sort of notorious for causing wrecks, even with professionals in real life, as it is very tight and slow through there, and everyone's going to be bunched up at the start. Fabian Gerber takes them around the hairpin. Everybody trying to be very careful through there not to hit one another. As he slows up, the pace car is in. Now he accelerates away. Gerber gets a fantastic jump over Guven, who's already under threat from Toika. He's looking around the outside, coming down into the first corner, and he's going to be neck and neck as they hit the brakes. Now he backs off, though, and lets him through. Pretty much single file for much of the pack into that first turn. Let's head to the GTOs.
It was an absolute disaster on the back end of the field, but look at this. We have a nice battle for that 2nd position right now with Esko Letaniemi trying to hold off Norbert Leitner, but a lot of cars got tangled up in that final hairpin, a lot of them with major damage right now in the back of this field. Whoa, we have a car off as well. That was Joni Kajanen, who's off in the background. There he is parked on the side of the track as we go by him with Alex Gall and Dominic Bureau.
We'll take a look at that later, and it seems to be all his own doing. I didn't see anybody close to him making contact at all. Unbelievable start for Kajanen after last week showed that he could maybe compete for the championship. Up at the front of the prototypes, Fabian Gerber already with 0.8 of a second over Guven. They come out of the hairpin for the second time, all about getting the throttle down smoothly and avoiding the turbo lag.
It's going to be very difficult in these GTPs to do so. And these tires are still cold. They're going to be cold for another lap yet after this one. So they're going to have to be very careful in this opening stages of this race. But Fabian Gerber taking off a little bit into the distance. But let's see whether or not this Porsche GT Sprint driver can get the wheels under him and put a challenge to Fabian. We know he's fast. He was faster than Fabian in practice. So it'll be interesting to see whether he can put a challenge to the reigning champ.
So far, it seems like everybody's just kind of minding their P's and Q's here up at the front of the prototype field. Really, the closest we've gotten among them is Nick Schneider and Cy Andre, and they're still split by 0.4 of a second. Wonder if Cy will maybe start to turn up the wig as they finally get the tires up to temperature. On to Seaside Way, and he's got a good run. He's actually even looking to the inside a little bit. Nick maybe somewhat defensive, comes back to the racing line. Not going to have anything there. Oh, but he slides wide coming out of turn 9. Still nothing for Cy Andre to do through there.
No, Cy Andre's going to need to get a good run out of this final corner. He takes a good line, but unfortunately, he takes the curb just a little bit on the inside. Can't get quite the run that he was looking for. Now he gets back onto the straightaway as they cross the line. Fabian Gerber with the current fastest lap. But look at that. Guven is going to have a 1:11 flat behind him. That's a very quick lap, especially when you're in race trim.
Behind there, you saw a little bit of a challenge between Tobias Gerber and Jamie Hall, but it looks like Gerber came out the top between the two. Meanwhile, as we look down in the GTOs, this is between Yuri Giesen, Miguel Castro, and Reed Miller. Miller sitting in 6th, seeing if he can challenge Giesen for that 5th spot. The slipstream down along the front stretch.
Yeah, and these are the last 3 drivers that don't have damage in the GTOs from that earlier incident. They're 4th, 5th, and 6th right now, so they're just out there trying to battle with one another. I know that Reed Miller's going to want to make some moves up there, but everyone else behind these guys has some damage. But let's go back up to the lead of the race, because look at this. Guven's putting a lot of pressure on Gerber. That
And Cy Andre here on screen, poking and prodding at Nick Schneider to see if he can find a way around, but Nick is great off the hairpin and just leaves him in the dust as we ride on his gearbox now. Looking at Cy Andre, the number 5, going to reel him in with a slipstream just a little bit. And then he runs out of straightaway here on Shoreline. Has to woe up and take it through the technical first portion.
One of my frustrations, Joe, about the hairpin is that you can be within 1/10 of the car ahead of you going into the hairpin, but the nature of the hairpin means that you're going to leave that at least half a second behind just because you can't get any closer. Wow, but look at this. Nicholas Schneider sliding all over the track right now. Cy Andre's looking a little bit calmer, but where's he going to make that move? He's going to have to get a good run here as they head on to Pine. Let's try and make that run.
Ooh, he's very strong under braking, it looks like. Andre getting right up to the gearbox once again. And he got a decent launch. I just don't think this is going to be enough.
No, but behind them, Tobias Gerber and Jamie Hall are having a side-by-side battle for the 7th position. Jamie's going to make that move very deep through that right-hander. Tobias Gerber let him have the position, but Jamie still took it deep. It looks like Michael Houghton has spun.
Ooh, and this caught up Stephen Warkup, who had his own troubles in the qualifying, unfortunately. So it looks like he did not expect to see Houghton slow on the exit of turn 9, and he was a little bit blind on that one. There's Houghton, and just watch him try to get away as everybody else avoids, but not Stephen.
Yeah, an unfortunate moment for Stephen Warkup, and an unusual kind of slip up for Michael Houghton. Now he has switched over to the GTP for the first time this season as well from the GTO, where he was a very quick driver, very routinely battling for podiums at the very least, if not wins. So he's now up here in the GTPs trying to get a little bit more experience under his belt, but this is a trial by fire, Joe.
Speaking of trial by fire, Fabian Gerber trying to withstand the heat from Guven, our pro-level driver. Oh, and Jamie Hall's just made a mistake. I think he overshot turn 7 here. This is coming off of Pine.
It's a very unusual place to overshoot, for sure. Trying to make that left turn on the right turn onto Seaside Way. And he just overshoots it and goes off into the runoff. This isn't something we see that often.
Yeah, he was so far out of there that our cameras couldn't catch him because he was already way up the escape road. Here, let's see if we can see it from this angle. Yeah, from on board. And just going to lock him up. Well, I mean, he made the safe decision at least.
Yes, absolutely. That is the right decision to make in that scenario, Joe. And he manages to get out of there fairly safely. He manages to not, yeah, he rejoined very safely. So that's absolutely the right decision. Trying to force it and make that turn, done it before, you just end up with your nose in the wall.
Lives to fight another day. Well, Esko Letiniemi, unfortunately, is under severe threat for second place instead of fighting for the potential win. Leitner looking to the inside, almost squeezing him to the wall, and he's going to be able to cleanly get through. Norbert having to fight hard for that one.
What a great move from Leitner. He stuck it out even with Letiniemi pressuring him to that outside wall. Ends up making that late breaking move. That was an impressive move. Good work from Norbert to make that pass right now, and now he's up to second position. And he's going to try and chase after Yuko Leskala, who's about 3 seconds up the road. Let's see whether he has pace for him. It's going to be interesting to watch here.
And that 3 seconds was pretty much already there. Leskala has just robbed away with this thing thus far. Let's not forget, though, that lap traffic is going to start becoming an issue. In fact, it just is right now. Fabian Gerber, if we go to him, he's being held up by Anderson, and he's got Guven right up behind that rear wing, waiting patiently. Guven, of course, coming from the Porsche Super Cup Series, is obviously used to sports car racing, but not necessarily multi-class as much.
Now remember, this is the top split, so we have high strength of field in here, but that doesn't mean necessarily that all of these drivers are used to driving these vehicles or how the multi-class works in these vehicles. So Fabian Gerber making his way past Yoni Kaijin, a very experienced driver in this series. Is Guven going to take the inside? Yes, he is. He's going to take that away. He gets a little bit of contact there from Kaijinen, but it looks like it did damage his rear clip just a little bit on that left side. We'll see whether or not that affects his top speed.
Surprised Kaijinen would do that and cut it that close. Meanwhile, as they start to pick up speed down Shoreline Drive, Ian Haycock's going to dutifully stay out of the way of these two. Easily breeze on through. Not close enough to challenge down into the first corner. Gets back into the slipstream and continues on.
Used to be on the old tire model that front straight arc was very, very sketchy, but with the new tire model, it's got the right amount of grip now, so you can take that outside with the Audi, something that you wouldn't have been able to do before. But now these two guys still have a lot of traffic to deal with. Ryan Walker, Miguel Alcalde, Richard Spitzmüller. Now all of these drivers ahead are also experienced in this series as well, so shouldn't pose too much of a problem, but that depends on where they catch them, Joe.
Just an update, we don't need to go there, but Andra did eventually get by Schneider for 4th place. He's now set his sights up to 3rd with Toyka about a 1.5 seconds ahead. Meanwhile, on screen here, this is Ryan Walker just ahead of Gerber and Guven. Kind of caught him at an awkward place where it's going to be hard to get around, trying to square off the corner. Guven looking for a better launch, and it just didn't seem to pay off.
Yeah, I never found it possible to do in any sort of high downforce machine to get that corner squared off very well, because you just can't get the power down, especially when you get under that 60 mile an hour kind of limit for these cars, especially in this GTP where the turbo lag is so extensive. You have to really be able to manage that well to get a launch off the corner, especially with that sort of angle.
And Snyder just got the spot back from Cy Andra. I think, did Cy
is huge damage. I think he hit the outside of the wall on turn 1.
I don't think it was there. Here's the overtake, though. He hit the wall through 10. Yeah,
that's
here we've
really
got it.
Unusual.
Here's the replay, he's gonna get the damage. You'll see. Here's turn 9.
Okay, so he's trying to go around traffic here, Joe.
Yeah, just chose the outside, and the car just kind of washed out. That's got to be embarrassing.
Tough break for Cy for sure, especially with his qualifying not being where he'd like it, but unfortunately he's going to have to deal with the damage for the rest of the race. Otherwise, he's going to have to take a pit stop and get some of that repaired. and try and fight through the field that way. But the field's so bunched up right now, Joe. Everyone's just tucked underneath 20 seconds. So if he goes to the pits now, I mean, the pit lane is more than 20 seconds just to transit. He'd go all the way to the back of the field.
I think he's going to have to suffer through it. I mean, attrition's probably going to play at least something of a part here, so maybe he can gain a few that way. The leaders still dealing with a lot of traffic. Gerber now behind Spitzmuller and Bureau, who are in a battle for position. Credit to these two. They haven't really done anything too unruly and have been pretty respectful. I haven't seen a good enough opportunity for Guven to actually attack and get by, but I think he knows the game. I think he knows eventually he'll see a good opening.
Yeah, but Guven's just, he's just biding his time at this point, just waiting to try and set up a good move. And we're going to take a look at the battle for P5 because Syandra now under pressure from Sean Campbell. Tobias Gerber, Phil Lake, Ardo, I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah, this is a big holdup here, and Campbell's actually going to have to go defensive because Gerber is eager to try and get by him into 6th place. Doesn't quite work out. So as these 5 essentially behind Andres start to get plugged up, is this going to cause a little bit of chaos? Everybody coming off the hairpin, barely staying out of that outside wall.
Yeah, it's really difficult to gauge whether or not you're going to hit the back of the Nissan ahead of you, especially because the hitbox isn't exactly where the vehicle itself is drawn. Look at this. Here we go. A move.
Yeah, Andra has no straight line speed. That's the damage that he is suffering. It made Campbell look like he was a lightning bolt flying by, and that'll give him 5th place.
Jungbluth has decided to come to the pits for repairs. We don't have to go there, but he is going to take some repairs himself. Jungbluth had an off on turn 1 last lap, so that's why we're seeing him in the pits now. We're on board with Ryan Walker, and that's going to be Sean Campbell slipping by on his inside.
Things getting tense here amongst this group. Everybody having to be held up. Walker's trying to keep out of their way. He's being cost a lot of time, having to take a very awkward line, and this is allowing Phil Lake to think about something on Tobias Gerber, looking to peek to the inside, down into turn 9. Gerber squirming under the brakes, still manages to retain his 7th position.
Absolutely, we need to go to the lead of the race, though, because Goigvin and Gerber are catching up to Nils Kort, a very awkward moment. They're catching up to him and Ben Laughter as they go through onto the front straight. This is going to be... Oh, no! Goigvin's off! Ooh, that was close.
I think he kept it out of the wall, but just barely. Let's watch on board.
You don't lose traction around here and save it like that.
I think if he touched the wall, it was the lightest of grazes and took a little paint off and nothing else.
If we stay with this replay and go to Phil Lake, he had it off in turn 1 right then.
Ooh, and this is a big one. This is a huge incident with Lake just plowing into the tire barrier, unfortunately. So it looks like we unfortunately don't have a replay, but the number 4... Oh, nope, I think we may have found it here.
Yeah,
tries
Phil,
to get it going.
He's took a toe now, but this is an unfortunate outbreaking event here. He's trying to make the move up the inside of our slow Syandra. Wow.
Yeah, Gerber was the one that made the contact, and I mean, he had no way of knowing there was going to be a car there. So it just clipped him at the wrong spot and sent him spinning. When we come back live, Andra is having a very bad day, and he's unfortunately going to be overtaken yet again because Ardo Iamaki manages to get through. They're almost 3 wide for a moment among that group. Nick Bukanos, is he going to be able to get by? Andra's going to try and defend just to see if he can do something here. And no, there's nothing he can do.
Yeah, but this is all holding up that group. And so now with that, Bukanos has gone by. Jamie Hall's the next one up. And he's got Matthias Hofdahl for company. Fabian Jungbluth just came out of the pits. He's tucked in behind these guys as well. This is the kind of chaos that traffic can create around here. Unfortunately, the Audis are spread out enough because of their early incident that it doesn't create this much chaos. But this is a traffic jam, Joe.
Down in 4th in the GTOs, though, they've got the leaders coming through with Miguel Castro having to play defense on Geeson and Miller. Gerber thankfully has a buffer of about 2 cars behind him, although they just made contact. Roman Pawlowski and Alex Gall getting into one another. Thankfully does not cause a spin. Now, what can he do down Shoreline Drive? Miller's going to be easy. I don't know if he'll even get past Geeson, though.
No, it's going to be challenging. Now he's going to think better of it, but now he's stuck behind him through the fountain section. Now,
granted, sorry, we've had a big wreck with Jamie Hall, and a car is on its side.
That's Syandra.
How in the world did he balance it on its side? I've never, ever seen this before in a Nissan.
Well, we're about to find out. All will be revealed, and it was actually ahead of them where things happened. That was the 9 car. That was Arda Yamaki here.
Yeah, he's going to bump the back of him, and he hits him just right. That poor Size is going to find his absolute balance in the way I don't think he ever wanted to.
So it starts with that stack up with Arda Yamaki behind an Audi, and there he is, Syandra on his side. Wow.
Had to take a tow. I don't think you could have if you tried. Just bizarre set of circumstances. So what does this do amongst that group? Well, Sean Campbell is now ahead of Tobias Gerber in 5th place. Tobias trying to put the pressure on, but it's split up those behind him. Matthias Hovdahl is a ways down, about 4 seconds back. Nick Bupanos lost a lot of time, and Jamie Hall did as well. So did Ardo Iamaki. So let's, do we get a change for position? Touching between Castro and Geeson. Castro manages to fend him off, and behind him, that was Timu Toika, who gets sent for a spin.
Oh no!
And another
spin. Miller.
Oh, the Hello Kitty car.
That was a goal that went around. Here we go. Yuri Geeson and Reed Miller still side by side as Castro's off track. Here they go into the, oh my goodness, Reed Miller with hard on the brakes. Yuri Geeson up the inside as they go on to Pine. This is going to be a tight battle. I think Reed's going to try and outbrake him once again. Yes, he is. They're going to go side by side as they cross. Oh my goodness.
And unfortunately, a little bit of a glitch has cost Reed Miller greatly as that car goes for a tumble. Geeson comes out of what was a very messy lap for our mid-packers in the GTOs. Let's not forget that we saw the Hello Kitty car was off. I'm trying to remember who that was exactly. That was Castro, who unfortunately got spun, got tipped off through turn 4. The battle for third in the prototypes is between Nick Schneider and Timu Toika, split by about 0.8 of a second, and the car of Roman Pawlowski for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely. So Timu Toika trying to get onto the back of Nick Schneider, but here's Roman Pawlowski. Roman's been running a very conservative race, and quite frankly, from all the accidents that we've seen around here, I think that might be the right decision today. He's just being very calm and collected. He might get himself a top 5 because of that if any of the competitors ahead of him have any trouble. But here's Timu Toika making his way around. That's Nicholas Schneider taking that left-hand turn on the Pine. Timu Toika follows him. This is getting closer, though, Joe.
I'm pretty certain that Toika lost third because of getting spun around in the fountain section. That predated all of the mess that we saw in the GTOs. That was just before Castro got turned himself. He's going to be able to ease by Alex Gall and get up back behind Nick Schneider, who has worked his way onto the podium after starting from 4th.
He's going to be under serious threat from Toika. He gets held up a little bit by Yuri Geeson going around the corner. He isn't quite far enough back to apply the throttle as much as he wanted to. But now Schneider's got a decent tow from Geeson. He should be ahead of Toika before they go into 1.
Schneider being able to get to the inside. He'll be able to get ahead of Geeson, and Toika can't quite do it himself.
He'll lose about 5/10 through this mountain section because of that.
Yeah. And there you see it start to slip away. Yeah, that's too short of a run here. Through to turn 5.
Oh, Schneider, right on screen, just had a big moment exiting 5. This means Toika's going to be right up on his bumper as they take the lift in the Pine.
He thinks about it. He's just not quite close enough. Yeah, that was a big save there as Schneider took a little too much curb. And the 17 had to really saw at the wheel to keep the car from heading towards the wall. So now it's down to 0.6 once again. Toika gets a second chance at life. See if he can climb his way up to the podium positions.
I can report that Ardo Yamaki had a self-spin coming through turn 1, gone in the power, and the car had not pivoted yet onto done his weight transfer, and so he ended up spinning it onto the inside wall. He is now taking a tow and is in the pits for repairs.
As Nick Schneider ahead of Toyka leads them down Shoreline Drive into the first corner. No chance for Timu this time through. Just an update on our GTO lead. Leskala still ahead of Leitner by about 4.5 seconds. And then it's another 4 seconds back to Letiniemi. Really haven't had a whole lot of drama up at the front of the Audis.
No, and here's a battle for 6th position in the GTPs between Sean Campbell and Matthias Hovdal. This battle's still going on. They're making their way past Yuri Giesen right now. And as they sneak their way by, Hovdal's going to make that clean move there. But look at this, Sean Campbell trying to run away from Hovdal, but Hovdal seems to have, I mean, as usual, a lot of top-line speed.
He likes that car trimmed out, but I don't think it's going to pay as many dividends around here. And his 7th place seems to bear fruit on that theory, as he continues to chase behind Sean Campbell. Sean, who was getting up there in positions for a bit and currently down in 6th, a little bit involved in the melee that we saw in that corner right there through the hairpin. Down the front stretch, this is where that straight line speed is going to help. Hovdal gaining hand over fist, defending to the inside. Campbell's going to make him go the long way around. How are they under braking? Almost even at first, but then Hovdal has to slow up a little bit more, and he'll remain in 7th.
You know, the question is, where can he make that move? If he can get a good run into, through turn 7 onto the back straightaway, he's got a really good opportunity here. Since they sweep through turn 5, you're going to take the left onto Pine for turn 6, and then it's through 7 where Hovdal's going to want to try and set it up so he can get a good run. They are catching Tobias Gerber up ahead of them for 5th, so this potentially could be for a top 5 as Campbell takes it a little bit too sweeping, ends up losing some traction. Hovdal's got a great opportunity here, Joe.
He's on him. Once again, he's going to have to be forced the long way around. He brakes very, very late. Can he actually make the corner? They both slide through, and he's going to do it. Hovdal with a gutsy move.
Good on Campbell to back out of it, as he knew that he was going to end up swinging wide. Look at this, Campbell trying to get on the power, but Hovdal, with that top line speed advantage, is just going to streak away from him on his front straight. Gives 6 to Matthias Hovdal.
That's exactly what he wanted. He's got the track position, so 2.5 seconds up to Tobias Gerber to see if he can claim himself another top 5. Back to our GTO leader, Yuko Leskala. Currently all on his lonesome. In fact, no GTP drivers to lap him for the time being, so he gets to relax for a brief moment. And we're already past halfway in this race. We're just about 16 minutes left to go.
I will say, while Yuko's doing an excellent job up at the front, continuing to poke a gap on Norbert Leitner, Leitner is no slouch. He's only losing about 0.3 of a lap to Yuko Leskala, and considering the fact that we haven't seen much of Leitner before in this series, that's impressive pace, Joe. So if he can stick around for a couple of races, he get a little bit more pace under his belt, we can see him battling for the lead easily.
I think you're right. Well, while neither Esco nor Bert are able to at least be with him right now, there's nothing to say that he could catch him a little bit later. Speaking of trying to catch the leaders, since Guven had his slip-up, he's fallen back to about 4 seconds behind Fabian Gerber. So this is interesting that Gerber, without him towing along in some of the faster straights, is actually holding him at bay.
Well, something tells me that he did actually collect that wall on the incident that we saw, and it's affecting his straight line speed a little bit. We'll have to keep our eyes out. It might also have affected some of his suspension, because I see him quite squirrely at this point in the race. Now, that could just be his driving style. I haven't watched him, well, I mean, I don't believe many people have watched him race in high downforce prototype machines before, but I'll be very curious to compare their top speeds on the front straightaway, and I'll let you know whether or not he's down on speed at all.
While he's watching that, I'm looking at 4th in the GTOs, because Giesen and Gall are right on top of one another. And it is Giesen who is having to play defense. They've got Michael Houghton in the GTPs, trying to wait patiently, looking for a clean place to pass so that he doesn't interrupt this fight. We'll get at least one down the backstretch. We'll be able to get both, or is he going to split them? I think he's going to split them. Yeah, so this is bad news for Alex Gall. Now he's got a barrier between himself and his rival. He can get the launch off of the hairpin. Maybe he could get himself some slipstream, though.
He's going to be hold up Alex Gall, though. As you can see, he has to do the overlap from Houghton because the Nissans take so long to spool up their turbos compared to the Audis. So Gall losing a full second and a half just on that final corner alone.
Frustration galore for Alex.
Houghton couldn't make it by Yuri on turn 1, so he's going to have to wait through the fountain section.
I think I'm seeing a lot of damage on the rear wing, so I think Houghton is dealing with a little bit of straight line speed disadvantage himself, much like we saw with Cy Andra, who I think I saw return to the track. Yes, he's back out and running, trying to salvage what he can. He's all the way down in 13th, sadly.
P7 in the GTPs is starting to look pretty good as well. This is between Sean Campbell and Nick Bucanos. Sean just continues to fall back a little bit over the course of this. We're taking a look at, there he goes around, and right behind him, that is Norbert Leitner, second place in the GTOs. Jamie Hall is now right on the back of Nick Bucanos as well, so this battle for 7th is going to be a three-way fight, I think, by the time Nick Bucanos catches up with Sean Campbell.
And Jamie Hall is slightly out of position here. Actually, no, I say that. He's started in 9th, let's remember, and he's only, or started in 8th rather, he's only up to 9th. So maybe he is about where his race pace seemed to elicit. And did Ben Laughter?
Yeah, we had a moment. Nils Core hit the outside tire barrier through the hairpin, actually. He was side by side with Ben Laughter through that turn. He's only now crossing the start-finish line. Let's take a look at this, because this was a little chummy between the two of them.
Yeah, I think this is good racing up to here. Look at them side-by-side down through turn 9. Nice and fair, giving each other plenty of space, but I don't think there is enough space at the hairpin to do this sort of thing.
There's not enough steering lock for the Audi to make that because of the four-wheel drive. You have to be on the inside of that corner in order to make the turn. It barely works in the Audi.
And you can see he just bounced into the outside tire wall and had to back up and get it going once again. So that'll drop Core down to 8th.
We're taking a look at Yuri Giesen and Alex Gall as they're battling for 4th place in the GTOs. They have Steven Warkup between them, currently 11th place in the GTPs. This is going to be the same thing that we saw last lap. Gall's going to have to do the crossover. Yeah, he has to hit the brakes, actually, behind Steven Warkup because of the way that the Nissans and the GTOs exit the corner differently. They're going past Mats Borg Anderson, who's very slow on track right now. So Yuri Giesen currently gapping Alex Gall by quite a bit just because of that hairpin situation. Now, this might close up once again now that they get through the fountain section.
But they've still got that lapped car between them. Oh, and he's very slow out of the fountain. So Gall lost a lot of time in that exchange.
I think it's a missed shift there from Anderson. Anderson's going to pull over and let these guys go by. I feel a little bad for the guy because that's the worst moment you get into as a lap car is when you're trying to be respectful of the cars in the lead lap. You end up making a mistake like that. It just makes you feel horrible. But everyone makes them, even the lead lap drivers. We saw it quite a few times last season. Caused a couple of incidents, actually, and especially in battles for the lead with misshifts. So very easy to do in the Audi.
Let's head back to Nick Bucanos because he made a big mistake out of the hairpin, and Jamie Hall has an opportunity, but he can't quite get close enough to him on Shoreline Drive. Still, I'm actually surprised because Bucanos had all kinds of wheel spin and almost lost the car, but still somehow managed to salvage that run. So they weave through turn 5, back onto Shoreline, the opposite way, up towards 6. He's got to deal with just 10 more minutes of this. Jamie Hall is certainly a quick customer. I'm sure he's not going to take it sitting down.
Yeah, Jamie and Nick know each other very well. Jamie, though, he's been racing the GTP for a full season ahead of Nick Bucanos. Nick Bucanos also racing that season last season, so they're both very, very much competitive with each other, and they also see Sean Campbell ahead. Look at this Jamie Hall trying to take a different line through the corner, try and get a little bit more speed with his hairpin. Always the great equalizer here, always spreads out these GTPs.
Yeah, you can see it right there. While they were right on top of each other, it just suddenly accordions apart. Sean Campbell doesn't look too quick in a straight line, though. Even though he pulls far ahead of Mukanos, he starts to reel him back in bit by bit by the time they hit turn 1. So maybe all we need from Mukanos, or all he needs rather, is just a decent run off the corner, and he could find himself with a good chance to overtake.
Yeah, it's going to be somebody making a mistake here from these guys to really cause a pass, I think. It's going to be very challenging for all these drivers to navigate through here. Clearly, they've got a little bit of lap traffic up ahead of them that's going to hold them up. So, wow, but look at that. I think Jamie has a lot better control on his braking than Nick McConnell at this time in the race. It's possible that Nick has a little bit too much brake bias turned in, but here comes a lap car. This could be the great equalizer here.
Heading down into the hairpin. Oh, great job, though, by Ian Haycox. Just stayed out of the way. Made sure and let them all through. Actually got side by side a little bit there, Jamie Hall, but pinched into the inside. He had even less chance to get on the throttle when he wanted to. Instead, it's now Mukanos who got the launch that he wanted. Sean Campbell goes defensive down into the first corner. He's way shallow into there, comes back to the racing line, and Mukanos gets at least a taste of it, but not enough that he can complete the pass.
He thought about looking on the outside through the fountain, but that move, it has worked in the past, but it's a sketchy one for sure. All right, so they're still battling very closely here. Oh, Matthias Hovdahl spun. That's him right there. He has no front end.
Oh, no. That was, I think, it was a checkup from the cars ahead. Yeah. Miguel Alcalde, unfortunately, slow in front of them. Gerber has to slow. And there you can see it just caused him to spin around.
So unfortunate there for him. He's going to have to... Oh, boy, that's some heavy contact, and that's Hovdahl's top-line speed advantage definitely gone, Joe, unfortunately.
Yeah, the last thing that he wants. That puts him down to 9th because it took a while for him to get turned around, sadly. Still being led by Fabian Gerber up at the front of the prototypes with Leskala leading in the GTOs. And now we got traffic for the battle between Mukanos and Campbell. They just went by Alcalde.
It's very tense stuff as they go through the fountain section. Mukanos and Campbell. Campbell's been really slicing his way very aggressively through the traffic. I think he knows that he's a little bit down on pace compared to Mukanos, who actually hit the outside wall on the exit at 5 there. It's something you definitely don't want to do in the GTP because it can affect quite a few systems on that machine. These GTP machines are extremely fragile, especially when it comes to aerodynamic downforce. Here we go with Campbell right on the back of Ryan Walker in 13th position. In the GTOs. He's going to be able to get clear, but I think Nick Mikowski is going to be stuck behind him. He's going to try and look to the inside, but Walker takes the apex.
Yeah, behind him, Jamie Hall also nearly had a brush with the outside wall coming out of turn 7 onto Seaside Way. Once again, everybody frustrated and plugged up out of the hairpin. This worked out fantastic for Sean Campbell. His gap back to Nick Mukanos is now 1.2 seconds. Mukanos going to be able to clear. Woo! JB Hall sending it in a little too hard. He's going to lose it, and he smacks into the tire barriers. The number 10 is going to take some big damage out of that one.
Let's take a look at this one on board. I think it's just too much ambition trying to get past Ryan Walker there. Takes it too deep. He had the brake bias set all right, but I think he was just too deep into the corner, unfortunately. Locks up the rear tires and hits the outside wall. That's going to be some decent damage there on the right side. May not slow him down that much, but with the time he was parked on the side of the road, that loses him a lot of time. Here's a battle, though. Team Toyka and Nick Schneider. This third-place battle has really started to heat up because of the traffic.
And that in front of them is Bureau. Going to be able to get off the corner better. Oh, wow, both of them. Both Schneider and Toyka slipping up on the rear tires. They are eager to get going, so neither gets the advantage off of the hairpin. Schneider gets some of the slipstream off of Bureau. Deep onto the brakes. Toyka sending it into turn 1. Can't quite get the car side by side though.
That was actually a little bit of contact between Schneider and Toyka that actually upset the rear wheels of Schneider. Toyka just was trying to get on the power because he realized that he sort of created an advantage for himself by falling so close and accidentally getting in the back of Schneider. You're going to take that advantage even if it's one that you're going to apologize after the race. But Toyka very tight on the back of Schneider. Schneider having trouble with power application right now. Those rear tires looking very unhappy.
Temperature's still relatively cool around here, but you can abuse them so easily in these cars. 74 Fahrenheit on the track surface. And this is one of our closest fights now here for this third position in the prototypes. We haven't covered much of the GTOs simply because those drivers haven't really given us much in the way of tight battles. Down Shoreline Drive once again as they come up to Neal's Core. More traffic. This could be really bad for Schneider, actually.
Yeah, this is going to hold him up through the fountain section, so they'll both be right on one another, Schneider and Toyka, when they exit this onto the exit of 5. Neal should pull over to the right side when they exit 5. That's going to free both of them up to take the left-hand turn onto Pine. Here we go on the exit. Niels is going to take his normal racing line. Schneider can't decide where to go. He's going to try and take a little bit of draft, I guess, off of Niels, but now they get onto Pine. Look at the acceleration of that Audi, though, almost side by side with Timu as they go across and take the right hand on a Sunset. Here we go, down the back straightaway. Schneider with a better exit.
So hold on to third, and he's only got to do so for another 2.5 minutes. So I think we are 2 to go next time by. Oh, and Hovdal, I think, has had another incident. Yeah, I think he's outbraking himself into the first corner, and I believe he's called it a day. He's taken a toe and parked it.
Timu's got a great run on Nick Schneider. He's going to have to use that toe. He's going to have to hope that Schneider doesn't go defensive into 1 and hope that he can outbrake him here with only 2 minutes to go. That's 2 laps here for these guys. Might be about 3 with the amount that Fabian Gerber's up ahead of them. I think it will be about 3 for these guys. But Timu's really keeping this pressure on as we ride on board.
And looking just over the dash and the steering wheel here of this incredibly powerful Nissan. A little bit wide there for Schneider coming out of turn 5. Keeps it out of the wall though. Breaking down into 6. Up next it's Ryan Walker. Is he going to stay off to the side? Yeah, he's going to pull off to the left. Both sneak through down to the inside and able to continue on their merry way. 1:30 left and our leader just crossed the line. So yes, 2 to go now.
Yeah, Timu keeping the pressure on. Nicholas Schneider really starting to slide around on the rear tires. Let's see how he gets on power application off of here, because this could really define things. If Timu gets a better exit, he doesn't though. Unfortunately, Nicholas Schneider starting to pull away once again. Timu's going to be right in behind him, but I don't think he's going to have the pace to catch him again.
Doesn't appear to be the case. Now with less than a minute to go, Toyka's got to do something special or hope for a little bit of traffic to help him, because so far hasn't quite had the raw speed to really challenge. They're going to come upon both Ben Lafter and Roman Pawlowski fighting for 6th in the GTOs pretty shortly here. Ooh, as they both take a lot of curb, way too much curb for Toyka.
Contact definitely for sure for Toyka on the outside tire barrier there that has dented in the left rear clip of that machine. So that means it's going to be a little bit of damage, but hopefully he can stay towed up with Schneider. Here we go. Fabian Gerber crossing line, starting his final lap. This race has been in his hands the entire time.
Now he's coming up close to Lesko as well. Question is, will Yuko get lapped and will they finish just about the same time? Gerber with a 6-second lead over Guven is pretty handy. So right now, I do not think that we're going to see a change unless we get absolute disaster for our top drivers. You can see him coming up on some of our lapped cars. That is Leitner, 2nd place in the GTOs, and then Alcalde, who is not for position. Down through the fountain section. Toyka's holding on. He's not letting the damage phase him. Can he get it cleaner this time, though? His last time down through turn 5, that one looked better, and he's still within 0.3 of a second.
He's going to have to do this on raw pace, though, Joe, because they don't have any traffic to help him out, so he's going to have to get a good exit here onto Sunset to try and make this move. And
we've got to go to our leader because Fabian Gerber sees the checkered flag, and the number 7 going to take his first win of the season. We'll have a whole lap to wait for Yuko Leskola. He did not get lapped. Let's take a look here at the battle for the final podium spot. It's very difficult to make a pass here at the very end of the lap. I don't think Toyka's got it, and he's not even going to attempt it. Just looks for the throttle application off the corner. Nick Schneider with a great defense to give himself third today.
Absolutely, and behind them, Sean Campbell and Nick Mikanos, who were inseparable with Tobias Gerber right ahead of them. That's going to round out your top 5 exiting off of the hairpin now. That's going to be Tobias Gerber, Sean Campbell, and Nick Mikanos, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
So our leader in the GTOs was the only one not lapped for this next time through.
Second week in a row, Joe.
Yeah. Well, this time, though, he's not on the lead lap, at least. That'd be amazing if he could do that here. But this will ensure his victory, as Adam mentioned, for the second week in a row. Can't be overtaken on the final lap with nobody else on the same lap as him. A win for Yuko Leskola, 2 for 2 for the Finn this season. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Long Beach. What a wild race today, an exciting one for sure. And Fabian Gerber withstood some pressure from a pro, and Ionkan Guven unfortunately couldn't overtake him, but still showed up for a second place here today. And Nick Schneider played great defense himself, taking third over Teemu Toika, who had a little help, unfortunately got spun in the fountain section. That may have cost him that podium position. He wound up fourth. Tobias Gerber was a top 5 ahead of Sean Campbell, who was 6th, and Nick Bukanos was 7th in the end. Jamie Hall with a P8 ahead of Stephen Warcup. He may not have qualified well, but he withstood some of the chaos out there. He did get involved in some of it, but got a 9th for his troubles. Michael Houghton was 10th, and the only of our GTPs that was a lap down was Fabian Jungluth in 11th.
Then we have Yuko Leskala, who came home with the win today from flag drop to the waving of the checkered flag, ahead of Norbert Leitner, who put on a good race after passing Escoleta and Niemi for that second position. Esco came home in 3rd spot. Yuri Giesen did a good race today in 4th position, ahead of Alex Gall in 5th, holding off Ben Laughter in 6th position, with Roman Pavlovsky coming home in 7th after getting a little bit of damage that affected his pace. Niels Kor comes home in the 8th spot, ahead of Yoni Kajan. Did not have a great race, comes home in the 9th spot today. Dominic Bureau coming home in 10th, with Richard Spitzmaller coming home in 11th spot, with Miguel Castro 12th spot today. Matthias Hovdahl did not have a great race himself, neither did Sayandra. They're both in and amongst the Audis. Miguel Alcalde, however, came home in 13th. Ian Haycox 14th, and Ryan Walker 15th. The rest of the drivers on your screen had some bad problems today. Mats Borge Anderson, Ardo Iamaki, Reed Miller, and Phil Lake.
And it looks like we have our winner ready to talk to us. Fabian Gerber from the Prototypes joins us. Fabian, congratulations on the victory. Seeing a black stripe in your mirror, though, did that cause any sort of nervousness?
Oh, yes, a lot of time. It was, at the beginning, really tough to have him so close behind all the time. But one time he made a mistake into the fountain, I think, and then I had some breathing space, so it was better from then on, but traffic decided if he could close up or not. And this time I was, I guess, a little bit lucky with traffic for once. But yeah, I made no mistake. And yes, that was tough, but I really liked that result. I was really happy about it.
Yeah, we could tell that you were having to work pretty hard with the way that Guven continued to stay behind you for much of the race. But so now we've had a 40-minute sprint race here in official racing. I assume, based on how this one went, you want to keep this one on the schedule.
Oh yes, I love the city tracks. I already look forward to Detroit. I really like them. Not everyone likes them, but I'm one of them. I really think the car is great on these places. It's a little bit big for the hairpin. It's hard to get it around actually. One time my inner wheel spun because I had to take it a bit tighter. So it's tough, but it's the car is really great in these places.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I need to ask you because I actually hopped into the car this week just to give it a try around here. What are your tips for even getting off that hairpin? I felt like I was having to wait forever to get the turbo to spool up.
I made a pretty short first gear, but I shared that setup so everyone could try that. It was just like first floor it and then go back immediately. So you have most power when the turbo hasn't spooled up already, and then when you feel like it's gonna come, then you back off with the throttle. That's the hint I can give. What I do at least.
Okay, I might have to go and try that, see if it works for me. Well, again, great job today, Fabian, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Me too. See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
That was Fabian Gerber, our winner in the Prototypes. And then I believe Adam has caught up with Yuri Giesen, who had a bit of an interesting race out there, finishing 4th in the GTOs.
Yeah, Yuri, you managed to be just ahead of that massive pileup that happened through the hairpin, but from then on, it was all eyes forward. How did you make the passes that you did today to get back into that 4th place?
I didn't actually make a lot of passes today. It was mostly just follow people around, and the one pass I did make wasn't exactly the best one. I tapped Miguel Castro around, and I owe him a big apology for that because that was definitely a bad move on my part. And that's really the only pass. And after that, it was just stay patient, defend wherever possible from Alex, Alex Gal, who was behind me, and that was really it. Just keep driving.
And I love asking our GTO drivers this because they have a very different perspective than the GTPs. How was the traffic today around Long Beach? We know that can be pretty hazardous at times.
I have to say big thumbs up to the GTP drivers today. I thought they were really patient, and I haven't been side by side with one that was really made it itchy for me. So one or two tried but pulled out, and I think most of them really just kept patient, stayed behind, and then went for the straights when it was really easy for them to overtake.
And Yuri, we've seen your pace continue to increase over the course of these last seasons. Is it just more time in the car, or have you discovered something that has unlocked your pace a little bit?
I think it's confidence with the car. It's really just a car with a lot of quirks, and learning to get around those and not get frustrated mostly is the way forward. And it's getting better for me. So that's really it. Just keep going, keep marching, and then the pace will come.
Well, Yuri, great to talk to you today, and I hope to get more chances to do so. One step away from the podium. Do you think you have a podium in you this season?
Well, that'd be hard, but it's only 7 seconds, so I guess there's a possibility. It really depends on the circumstances and perhaps tracks that suit me a little better. But we'll find out. I have no clue.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for talking to us, Yuri. And is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks. Mostly you guys for doing a great broadcast, and also shout out to Reed Miller. I thought it was really nice to be side by side with him a couple of corners, and it's just really unfortunate that it ended so badly for him.
Well, Yuri, thanks for talking to us, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Donington.
All right, we'll be there. Thank you.
That was Yuri Giesen. He finished 4th place in the GTOs, and it looks like 6th place has caught up with Joe Peak. That's Ben Laughter.
Yes, indeed. Ben, I am very curious. Are you now one of the proponents for single file starts here at Long Beach for the Audis?
Probably the right thing to do. I did 3 races this week, and all 3 of them had a similar stack up in the hairpin. So, yeah, probably.
Yes.
Do it. We didn't force it, but smarter thing to do.
Yeah, it looked a bit of a mess, even though we didn't get to show the replay on the broadcast. From there, you were kind of put behind the 8 ball because you lost so much in that little mess at the start. What did you think was realistically possible after that?
I came into this race with a simple goal, and that was a top 8. Given this competition, I came in as car number 27, and so a win wasn't going to be in my cards. A top 5 was a super stretch. I looked for a top 8. So for me, I've done 3 races this week. I've done really well in them, but this one was the crucible, and I feel like I did really well. I was very happy with my performance today.
Yeah, I think you should be satisfied with a 6, considering all things. And next week, thankfully, I think going to be a little bit more of an open track with Donington going to their Grand Prix circuit. How do you feel heading off to England?
Donington's fun. Less imposing than this one. If anybody wants to know what running a 24-hour race anywhere feels like, run a 40-minute race at Long Beach. It's exhausting. But Donington's a blast. We don't go there a lot, and it's a totally different kind of track. It's a nice mixture of technical tight stuff and high speed stuff. So it just mixes up these classes in an interesting way. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, well, we're looking forward to seeing how you compete there. Maybe a top 5 could be doable. We'll see. Hopefully we'll get to talk to you again later.
Hey guys, thanks for the broadcast as always. I'm looking forward to it.
That was Ben Laughter with a 6th today, just outside of that top 5. Let's close up, though, with a big thank you to the Kamel community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And we also want to thank the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts that are listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get hold of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We've also got various social media outlets, including Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, we've got a merchandise store linked in the YouTube description below, and it's simply gsrc.storeenvy.com. The next race, as we mentioned, that'll be at Donington for Saturday, January 2nd. It's the last Kamel race of this year, and that'll kick off at noon Eastern in 2021. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on your screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. We got one more for today. We have 6 Drink Saturday today. That'll be with the V8 Supercars at Long Beach. That'll be at 9:45 p.m. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.